My child, I watched you cry last night when nobody else saw the pain in your eyes. While you thought heaven was silent, I was making a decision that would change everything about your future. Listen carefully to me now, because what I am about to reveal will explain why your suffering lasted longer than you expected, why your prayers seemed delayed, and why your heart has felt so heavy lately. I was never absent from your pain. I was standing beside you in every tear, every sleepless night, every silent breakdown, and every moment you felt too exhausted to keep pretending you were okay. And last night, my child, while you were crying and wondering if anyone truly understood the weight inside your soul, I made a decision in heaven concerning you. Your season is turning now. My beloved child, I need you to stop everything around you for a moment and listen carefully, because this message carries the answer your heart has been begging for in silence. I know the pain you tried to hide from everyone yesterday. I know the tears you wiped away before anyone could notice them. I know the thoughts racing through your mind while you stared into the darkness, wondering how much longer you could continue carrying this emotional weight alone. You may have convinced others that you were fine, but I saw the truth hidden underneath your smile. I saw how tired your spirit truly became. I saw the pressure crushing your heart while nobody around you understood the battle happening inside you. And while you cried last night, thinking you were alone in your suffering, heaven was watching every tear fall. My child, you have cried many nights before this one, but something about last night reached deeply into my heart. Last night was different because your spirit had become so exhausted from carrying pain silently for so long. You were no longer crying only because of one problem. You were crying because too many disappointments had piled up inside your soul at once. Betrayal mixed with exhaustion. Loneliness mixed with confusion. Fear mixed with emotional heaviness. You reached a point where your heart no longer knew how to carry everything quietly anymore. And while your body sat in silence, your soul was screaming for relief. I heard every silent cry that escaped your spirit. I heard the questions you were afraid to say out loud. I heard you asking me if things would ever truly change. I heard you wondering whether this pain would ever finally end. My beloved child, there were moments last night when discouragement whispered dangerous thoughts into your mind. The enemy wanted you to believe that nothing would ever improve. He wanted you to believe that your tears were meaningless. He wanted hopelessness to settle permanently inside your spirit. He wanted emotional exhaustion to convince you to stop expecting good things from me anymore. But even while those thoughts surrounded you, my hand remained over your life, protecting you from collapsing completely. You survived that night because I refused to let darkness consume your heart entirely. You made it through because heaven was still holding you even when your faith felt weaker than ever before. I know there are people around you who do not understand how deeply certain situations affected your heart. They see your silence, but they do not recognize the pain behind it. They see your distance, but they do not understand the betrayal that caused it. They see your tired eyes, but they do not understand how many nights your mind refused to rest because anxiety, overthinking, and emotional pressure would not leave you alone. But I understand everything completely, my child. I understand the wounds you never fully explained to anyone. I understand the heartbreak you buried deep inside yourself because talking about it became too painful. I understand the disappointment you carried after trusting people who handled your heart carelessly. And I need you to know now that none of your suffering was invisible to me. Last night, while tears rolled down your face, I remembered every battle you survived quietly. I remembered how many times you kept going while secretly falling apart inside. I remembered every prayer you whispered during moments when your spirit felt too tired to even continue hoping anymore. I remembered how often you chose kindness even after people hurt you repeatedly. I remembered how many times you forgave others while your own heart remained wounded. I remembered the strength it took for you to wake up every day carrying pain nobody else could see. And as I watched you crying in that lonely moment, something shifted in heaven concerning your life. My child, hear me carefully now because this part is important. Your tears are not weakness to me. The world may teach you to hide emotions and pretend strength, but heaven sees tears differently. Every tear you cried carried truth. Every tear revealed the depth of your endurance. Every tear exposed the battles your spirit hath been fighting silently for far too long. And every tear moved my hand toward your situation. Do not believe the lie that heaven ignored your suffering simply because answers did not arrive immediately. Sometimes tears become the language that reaches deepest into eternity because tears reveal what words cannot fully explain. I know you became tired of waiting. I know there were moments when you wondered whether your breakthrough would ever arrive. You watched time continue moving while your pain remained. You prayed for relief while disappointment repeated itself. You tried to stay hopeful while your heart quietly struggled beneath the pressure of unanswered questions. But my beloved child, your waiting season has never been empty. Even while you cried, I was working carefully behind the scenes, arranging moments you could not yet see. I was protecting your future while strengthening your spirit at the same time. I was removing hidden dangers while preparing blessings your current understanding could not fully comprehend yet. Type Amen. Every promise is yes and amen if His word sustains your faith. There were also moments when you blamed yourself unfairly for things that were never your fault. You questioned your worth because certain people failed to value your heart correctly. You replayed painful memories, wondering what you could have done differently to avoid heartbreak. But my child, stop carrying shame for loving sincerely in a world filled with emotionally wounded people. Stop blaming yourself for trusting with a pure heart. Your kindness was never the mistake. The mistake belonged to those who mishandled the love, loyalty, and sincerity you offered them. And while people misunderstood your value, heaven never did. Last night became a turning point spiritually because your tears carried honesty heaven could not ignore. You were no longer pretending to be okay. You were no longer hiding the exhaustion, crushing your spirit. You finally allowed your pain to rise honestly before me, and heaven responded immediately. My child, I need you to understand something now. I do not delay forever. There comes a moment when suffering reaches its limit. There comes a moment when heaven decides the season must shift. There comes a moment when I look at the tears of my child and declare that enough is enough. And last night, while you cried in silence believing nobody saw your pain, I made that decision concerning your life. The enemy thought he could break your spirit permanently. He believed disappointment would eventually destroy your hope. He believed loneliness would convince you that you were forgotten. But he underestimated how deeply I love you. He underestimated the plans I still carry for your future. He underestimated the strength my presence placed inside your soul long before this battle began. You may feel weak right now, but you are still standing. You may feel exhausted, but your story is not over. You may feel emotionally wounded, but heaven has not abandoned you. My beloved child, something is happening now. Not next year. Not someday far away. Now, your tears have reached heaven's attention in a new way. Your season of carrying silent pain endlessly is beginning to close. The heaviness crushing your spirit will not remain forever. What broke you is about to become proof that I never left your side even during the darkest nights. And when you eventually look back at this painful chapter, you will finally understand that every moment you thought you were abandoned, I was actually carrying you through the storm with more love than you could fully see at the time. My beloved child, stop for a moment and listen carefully to my voice, because what is happening right now is not random. You did not arrive here by accident. I guided you here intentionally because your heart has been crying out for answers even while your mouth remained silent. I know the exhaustion living inside your spirit. I know how heavy your thoughts have become lately. I know there are moments when you sit quietly surrounded by people and still feel completely alone inside. But today I am interrupting the noise around your life because I need your full attention before this next season begins unfolding around you. Too much is changing spiritually for you to continue walking through life distracted, emotionally numb, and unaware of what heaven is doing. My child, there are moments in life when I speak gently, and there are moments when I speak urgently. This is one of those urgent moments. I am not interrupting you to frighten you. I am interrupting you because your spirit has been carrying burdens that are slowly draining the life from your soul. You have been surviving emotionally for too long instead of truly living with peace. You have been smiling outwardly while secretly collapsing inwardly. And the world around you kept moving as though nothing was wrong because nobody fully saw the pressure you carried behind your eyes. But I saw it all. I saw the nights you sat in silence, unable to calm your thoughts. I saw the mornings when getting out of bed already felt emotionally exhausting. I saw the heaviness in your chest while you pretended everything was okay. And now heaven is stepping into your situation because I refuse to leave you trapped in silent suffering any longer. You have asked me many questions recently, my beloved. You asked me if your prayers still mattered. You asked me if your tears were reaching heaven. You asked me if I truly understood how deeply certain situations hurt your spirit. There were moments when discouragement became so loud inside your mind that you struggled to hear my voice clearly anymore. Fear began whispering lies to your heart. Anxiety began clouding your peace. Disappointment began convincing you that maybe nothing would ever truly change. And because the pain lasted longer than expected, part of your heart quietly started preparing itself for more suffering instead of breakthrough. But my child, listen carefully now. The story is not ending where your pain tried to convince you it would. Please support our channel. Our work is to bring happiness in your life and devotion to God. And if you want, you can donate to us, given link in description or pinned comment to show your support. I know there are parts of your heart that became emotionally tired from hoping. You kept expecting things to improve, yet disappointment kept repeating itself. You trusted people who mishandled your heart. You waited for prayers to be answered while silence surrounded your circumstances. You carried responsibilities while your soul quietly screamed for rest. And eventually the weight became so heavy that even simple things started feeling difficult emotionally. You stopped talking about certain pain because explaining it became exhausting. You stopped asking people for understanding because too many misunderstood your heart already. So you carried everything silently, believing nobody truly recognized how much pressure you were under. But heaven recognized it every single day. My beloved child, this message is not coincidence. This is a divine interruption designed specifically for your current season. I brought you here because your spirit is standing between two chapters right now. One chapter is ending. Another is beginning. But before the new season fully unfolds, I need your attention completely because there are truths I must awaken inside you first. You cannot enter your next season carrying the same fear, emotional heaviness, confusion, and hopelessness that followed you through the last one. Something must shift inside your spirit before the external changes fully appear around you. That is why I am speaking directly into your heart now with urgency and tenderness at the same time. The enemy has worked very hard recently to keep your mind overwhelmed. He understood that if he could not destroy your destiny directly, he would attempt to exhaust your spirit slowly through pressure, overthinking, disappointment, emotional wounds, fear, loneliness, and constant mental heaviness. He wanted you distracted from my presence. He wanted you emotionally drained to the point where you stopped expecting anything good from heaven anymore. He wanted survival mode to become normal for you. But I did not create you merely to survive pain endlessly, my child. I created you to live with peace, purpose, clarity, healing, and spiritual strength. And because I love you deeply, I refuse to let darkness continue speaking louder than my promises over your life. There is a reason your spirit has felt restless lately. There is a reason you keep sensing that something is changing even though you cannot fully explain it logically. There is a reason your heart feels emotionally stretched between exhaustion and expectation at the same time. What you are sensing is real. Heaven is moving around your life. Certain doors are closing permanently. Certain people are being removed quietly. Certain hidden truths are beginning to surface. Certain delayed answers are moving closer toward manifestation. And even though your natural eyes cannot yet fully see the complete picture, your spirit feels the shift approaching because I have already begun turning your season internally before you witness it externally. My child, you have spent too much time believing your weakness disappointed me. But the truth is this: your honesty is what drew my heart closer to you. Last night, when tears fell from your eyes and your soul finally stopped pretending to be strong, heaven listened carefully. There is something powerful about honest surrender. There is something holy about a wounded heart still crying out toward me instead of walking away completely. Even through your exhaustion, you still search for me. Even through your confusion, part of your spirit still hoped I would answer. And that fragile hope inside you became the very thing heaven responded to. Do not ignore what I am saying now, because this moment matters deeply. You are standing at a spiritual turning point. The emotional heaviness crushing your soul cannot continue forever. The confusion surrounding your mind cannot remain permanently. The tears soaking your nights will not define your entire future. I am awakening you spiritually because what comes next requires a healed perspective, renewed faith, stronger discernment, and deeper trust in my guidance than ever before. You cannot move forward while remaining emotionally chained to the pain of your previous season. I know there are wounds you still carry silently. I know there are disappointments you never fully recovered from emotionally. Certain words spoken against you still echo painfully inside your mind. Certain betrayals still affect your ability to trust freely again. Certain losses still leave emptiness inside your heart. But my child, hear me carefully now. I am not only preparing external breakthroughs for you, I am healing internal damage at the same time. Because what good would restored opportunities be if your heart remained trapped in fear and emotional exhaustion? I care deeply about your spirit. I care about your peace. I care about the hidden parts of you nobody else sees clearly. And before your next chapter fully arrives, I am restoring the places inside you that suffering tried to destroy. The reason I interrupted your attention today is because your spirit desperately needed this awakening. You needed confirmation that heaven still sees you. You needed reassurance that your tears still matter. You needed to hear my voice stronger than the voice of discouragement surrounding your thoughts lately. And above all, you needed to know that your season is not remaining the same forever. Change is already beginning. Healing is already beginning. Movement is already beginning. The prayers you thought disappeared into silence are still alive before heaven. My beloved child, stay close to me now. Do not rush away from my presence after hearing these words. Let your heart rest here for a while. Let my voice calm the storms inside your mind. Let my truth silence the lies fear has been whispering against your spirit. Because what is happening right now is sacred. Heaven is awakening your soul before your breakthrough fully unfolds. And when you eventually look back at this moment, you will realize this was the beginning of the turning point that changed everything about your life forever. My beloved child, I need you to sit with me for a moment and listen carefully because I want to speak directly into the pain you carried last night. I watched you trying to stay strong while your heart quietly broke beneath the weight of emotions you could no longer hide from yourself. I saw the moment your thoughts became too heavy to manage alone. I saw you staring into the darkness asking questions nobody around you could answer. I saw your tears falling while you tried to silence your own crying because you did not want anyone to hear how deeply you were hurting. And while you felt alone in that moment, heaven was closer to you than you realized. You have spent so much time pretending to be okay for the sake of others. You learned how to smile while emotionally exhausted. You learned how to answer people politely while silently battling sadness inside your chest. You became skilled at hiding pain because too many times people misunderstood your vulnerability. So last night, when nobody else was watching, all the emotions you buried finally rose to the surface. The disappointment, the loneliness, the exhaustion, the fear, the heartbreak, the frustration of carrying unanswered prayers for so long. It all poured out at once. And my child, I watched every single tear. I know exactly what broke your spirit last night. I know the memories replaying inside your mind while tears rolled down your face. I know the betrayal you still have not fully healed from. I know the disappointment that keeps reopening old wounds inside your heart. I know how tired you became from constantly hoping things would improve while circumstances stayed painful. I know the pressure you carry silently because you fear becoming a burden to others. And I know the hidden fear deep inside you that wonders whether life will always feel this emotionally heavy. But listen carefully to me now. Your tears were not wasted. Your pain did not disappear into silence. I was with you through every second of that night. My child, there were moments when you almost stopped praying because you felt emotionally drained from waiting. You repeated the same cries to heaven so many times that part of you became afraid to hope anymore. You asked yourself whether anything would ever truly change. You wondered whether I still heard your voice after all this time. And while discouragement surrounded your thoughts, I remained beside you listening to every word your heart could not even fully express. Sometimes your tears spoke louder than your prayers because your spirit had become too exhausted to explain the depth of your pain through words anymore. I saw how hard you tried to hold yourself together yesterday before the night finally broke you emotionally. People looked at you and assumed you were managing fine, but they did not see the battle happening inside your mind. They did not see how emotionally tired you felt carrying responsibilities while secretly struggling to keep your own heart from collapsing. They did not hear the thoughts keeping you awake after everyone else rested peacefully. But I heard them all, my beloved. I heard every anxious thought. I heard every fearful question. I heard every silent cry for relief rising from your spirit. There were moments last night when you questioned your own worth because of how people treated you. Certain wounds affected your confidence more deeply than you admit. Some betrayals made you wonder whether you were truly lovable. Some disappointments made you question whether your future could still become beautiful after everything you survived emotionally. You looked at your brokenness and wondered whether too much damage had already been done. But my child, never allow pain to rewrite the truth about who you are. Broken moments do not cancel your value. Tears do not make you weak. Emotional exhaustion does not make you forgotten. You are still deeply loved by me even in your weakest moments. I know there are nights when your mind refuses to rest because your heart keeps carrying too much. You replay conversations repeatedly. You overthink situations endlessly. You search for explanations about why certain people changed toward you so suddenly. You wonder what you could have done differently to avoid heartbreak. But my beloved child, some people hurt others because they are broken themselves. Some betrayals were never about your worth. Some endings happened because certain people could not follow you into the future I prepared for your life. And while your heart keeps trying to understand everything logically, heaven already sees the full truth hidden behind every painful situation. Last night became important spiritually because your tears reached heaven differently. There comes a moment when pain becomes so honest that it moves the heart of God deeply. Last night your spirit stopped pretending. Last night your soul cried out honestly before me without hiding exhaustion anymore. And because I am your father, I cannot ignore the tears of my child forever. Every tear mattered. Every sigh mattered. Every silent cry mattered. Even the moments when you sat speechless staring into emptiness while your chest felt heavy with sadness mattered to me completely. Say amen. I'm walking straight into favor if you feel breakthrough drawing near. My child, I know you often feel guilty for struggling emotionally. You compare yourself to others and wonder why your spirit feels so tired lately. You criticize yourself for crying. You criticize yourself for feeling weak. But listen to me carefully now. You have survived battles that many people around you know nothing about. You carried emotional burdens quietly while still trying to love others sincerely. You continued showing kindness while secretly fighting heartbreak inside yourself. You kept moving forward while your spirit felt exhausted almost every day. Stop condemning yourself for feeling overwhelmed after surviving so much pain without proper healing. The enemy wanted last night to become the moment you surrendered completely to hopelessness. He wanted your tears to convince you that nothing would ever improve. He wanted emotional exhaustion to destroy your expectation for the future. But even while darkness whispered lies around your mind, my presence remained over your life, protecting your spirit from complete collapse. That small part of you still listening for my voice today is proof that heaven never abandoned you during the storm. You are still here because I kept holding on to you even during moments when your own strength felt completely gone. I also know there are wounds inside your heart that you stopped talking about long ago because too much time passed. You convinced yourself that maybe healing would never come fully. You learned how to function while secretly carrying sadness in certain areas of your soul. But my beloved child, hidden pain does not disappear simply because time moves forward. That is why I am speaking into those wounds now. I do not want you entering your next season carrying silent heartbreak from the last one. I want restoration for your spirit. I want peace for your mind. I want healing for the places betrayal, rejection, loneliness, and disappointment damaged inside you. Last night was not the end of your story. It was a breaking point before the turning point. Heaven saw your tears, and heaven responded. While you cried, believing nothing was changing, spiritual movement already began around your life. I started shifting things quietly the moment your pain rose honestly before me. Certain delays are ending. Certain burdens are lifting. Certain answers are moving closer toward manifestation. And although you cannot fully see everything yet, the atmosphere around your life has already begun changing spiritually. My child, do not be ashamed of the tears you cried. Those tears became evidence that your heart still carries sensitivity instead of bitterness. Those tears prove your spirit still longs for healing instead of darkness. Those tears reached my heart because they came from a soul exhausted from surviving pain silently for too long. And now I need you to hear this clearly before this chapter ends. I did not look away from your suffering last night. I did not ignore your breakdown. I did not abandon you in your loneliness. I watched you cry, my beloved. I stayed beside you through every tear. And while you thought you were breaking apart alone in the darkness, heaven was already preparing the moment your entire season would begin turning toward healing, restoration, peace, and breakthrough. My beloved child, I know how tired you have become. Not the kind of tired that sleep can fix, but the deep exhaustion that settles inside the soul after carrying pain silently for too long. You have been trying to survive pressure from every direction, while pretending your heart was stronger than it truly felt. People around you saw you functioning normally, but they did not see the emotional weight crushing your spirit every single day. They did not see how many times you sat alone trying to gather enough strength just to continue moving forward. But I saw it all, my child. I saw every burden you carried quietly while nobody fully understood how close you were to breaking inside. You have been carrying disappointment that never fully healed. Certain situations hurt you more deeply than anyone realizes. You trusted people who handled your heart carelessly. You gave loyalty to those who repaid you with betrayal. You opened your spirit sincerely only to watch certain people slowly become strangers. And because of those wounds, part of your heart became afraid to trust fully again. You learned how to protect yourself emotionally because pain taught you that vulnerability often leads to heartbreak. But my child, living guarded all the time has exhausted your spirit more than you realize. I know the financial stress you silently think about at night. I know how heavy responsibility has felt lately. There were moments when you smiled during the day while secretly wondering how things would work out behind closed doors. You carried worries nobody else fully knew about. You calculated problems repeatedly inside your mind, trying to find solutions while fear quietly whispered worst-case scenarios into your thoughts. The pressure became so constant that peace started feeling unfamiliar to your spirit. Even during moments meant for rest, your mind continued fighting battles internally because the weight on your shoulders never seemed to stop completely. My beloved child, I also know the emotional exhaustion caused by unanswered prayers. You waited patiently for breakthrough while delays continued stretching longer than expected. You kept believing for change while circumstances remained painful. You prayed for healing while your heart still carried wounds. You prayed for peace while anxiety kept returning. You prayed for clarity while confusion surrounded your path. And after repeating those prayers for so long, part of your spirit became emotionally worn down from hoping. Waiting became heavy because you could not understand why heaven seemed silent while your soul struggled daily. There were moments when you questioned yourself because of how people treated you. Rejection affected your confidence more than you admit openly. certain words spoken over your life planted insecurity deep inside your spirit. You began wondering whether you were too much for some people or not enough for others. You compared yourself constantly. You questioned your worth repeatedly. And because pain lasted longer than expected, your mind slowly became filled with self-doubt. But my child, do not allow the wounds created by broken people to redefine the truth about who you are. The way others mishandled your heart does not determine your value in my eyes. I know how lonely you have felt even while surrounded by people. Some of your deepest battles happened silently because you stopped believing others would truly understand. You became tired of explaining your pain, tired of trying to make people see the heaviness behind your silence. So instead, you carried everything inwardly. You learned how to cry quietly. You learned how to break silently. You learned how to survive emotionally without expecting comfort from anyone. But carrying pain alone for too long slowly drains the soul, my child. That is why your spirit has felt so exhausted lately. The enemy used this exhaustion against you constantly. He whispered lies during your weakest moments. He told you nothing would ever improve. He convinced you that your prayers were pointless. He tried making you believe that your future would always feel this heavy emotionally. He attacked your mind with fear, anxiety, hopelessness, overthinking, and discouragement because he understood how vulnerable exhausted hearts become. But despite every mental battle surrounding your life, my hand continued protecting your spirit from complete destruction. The fact that you are still listening to my voice now is proof that heaven never stopped sustaining you. My beloved child, there were also days when you became tired of being the strong one for everyone else. You comforted others while secretly needing comfort yourself. You listened to other people's struggles while your own heart quietly begged for relief. You carried responsibilities while hiding emotional wounds nobody addressed. And because you learned how to survive pain silently, people assumed you did not need support anymore. But I saw the truth behind your strength. I saw how desperately your soul needed rest. I saw how often you wanted someone to notice your pain without you having to explain it repeatedly. You have also been carrying disappointment from dreams that did not unfold the way you expected. Certain hopes meant so much to your heart, and when they failed, something inside you broke emotionally. You tried to remain hopeful afterward, but disappointment changed the way you looked at your future. You became afraid to expect too much because previous heartbreak taught you how painful shattered expectations can feel. So instead of dreaming freely, you began protecting yourself emotionally from possible disappointment. But my child, fear was never meant to become the foundation of your future. I know there were nights when exhaustion became so heavy that you wondered how much longer you could continue carrying everything. You looked strong outwardly, but inwardly your spirit felt completely drained. Some mornings you woke up already emotionally tired before the day even started. Some nights you cried because the pressure became too much to hold inside anymore. And still you continued pushing yourself because part of you feared stopping would make everything collapse. But hear me carefully now. You were never meant to carry life entirely through your own strength. That burden has been crushing your soul slowly, and I am calling you to release it before it destroys your peace completely. My child, the weight you have been carrying was never invisible to heaven. Every burden mattered to me. Every anxious thought mattered. Every sleepless night mattered. Every hidden tear mattered. And although people around you may not have fully understood your pain, I understood every detail completely. I understood the pressure inside your mind. I understood the heartbreak inside your chest. I understood the loneliness surrounding your spirit. I understood the fear hidden behind your silence. Nothing about your suffering escaped my attention for even one moment. But now I need you to listen carefully, because this chapter of endless emotional heaviness cannot continue forever. I did not create you to live permanently exhausted, fearful, anxious, wounded, and emotionally overwhelmed. I created you for peace. I created you for healing. I created you for purpose greater than survival alone. And although the weight you carried almost broke your spirit, it will not destroy the future I still prepared for your life. The season ahead will not look like the season behind you. The tears, the sleepless nights, the mental exhaustion, the emotional pressure, the fear, and the loneliness are not the final chapter of your story. I know you feel tired now, my beloved. I know part of your heart feels weak after surviving so much disappointment. But stay close to me, because I am beginning to lift burdens you were never meant to carry forever. What crushed your spirit for so long is about to become the very place where heaven reveals my healing, my strength, and my faithfulness in ways you never imagined possible before. Comment Amen. I'm rooted and unshaken if your trust stands firm no matter the storm. And share this video.